Our wonderful executive producer, Mr. Dave Tabb, is in the house today. God bless him. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, pal.
It's good to be here.
Hey, everyone. Connor here. We just want to take a moment to thank you so very much for tuning in and being a part of the Decon Chamber family. Your support keeps us going, and we couldn't do this without you.
And if you love what we do and want to help us even more, please consider joining us on Patreon. You'll get exclusive perks, behind-the-scenes content, and even opportunities to chat with us directly.
And don't forget to check out our awesome merch, because who doesn't want to rep their favorite podcast in style, baby?
Every little bit helps, I promise you. And we're really very, very grateful for all of you who make this show possible. So thanks for being there. And please enjoy this episode of the Decon Chamber.
The show has begun with Connor and Dom. It's the Decon Chamber.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Trekkies and Trekkers, welcome back to another watch party episode of the Decon Chamber. I'm your co-host Dominic Keating, joined as always by my bestie here in the States. Actually, it's becoming a world event. Mr. Connor Trinneer is in the house.
Hey, yo.
Good to see you, man. I missed
Good
you
to
this
see you.
week. They were all on the cruise without me again.
No, you're there next year.
Yeah, finally.
But yeah, I'll tell you a little aside. This boat, the ship was going into dry dock after this particular voyage because it needed some work.
Oh, did?
Yeah,
It was leaking.
a little bit.
A little bit. Well, this is episode 10 as the numbers go. Fortunate Son, which was I don't mean this rudely, but I'd sort of forgotten that this is an Anthony Montgomery episode, really.
It's his first one, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Directed by LeVar Burton and written by James Duff, who we've just been advised is quite prolific in the Star Trek world. Has been a showrunner of other shows and a TV writer and showrunner for other stuff. I don't remember him being on the writing staff, but this may have been a script that he had proposed for other Star Trek, shows that didn't make it. But it's certainly one that made it for us. And directed by LeVar, I think I said. And I think it's LeVar's second episode then, because he did Terra Nova. What else? So it's guest starring Lawrence Monson as Matthew Ryan, who is becomes the sort of, how to describe it?
I got a secret.
Mutineer. I got a secret. Yeah. And Kieran Mulroney, who is Captain Keen, and they're running freight on the what's the name of their ship? Is it the Fortunate? I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
And one of the trials and tribulations of running freight, as Anthony will testify, as Travis Mayweather, are attacks fairly consistently from a group of pirates called the Nausicans, who are a fearful-looking bunch. And
Terrible mouths.
yeah, I mean, that was again with the makeup department. I mean, they did an amazing job. I mean, they look amazing. I mean, the sort of the boar tooth coming out of each sides. I wondered if this episode was not a direct result, because it comes directly after 9/11. And there's one scene in particular that Travis has with the captain in the ready room about how to behave when attacked unprovoked, and what the human action and reaction should be, as opposed to what it is being. And it talks about revenge, and this was literally a month after 9/11, and you know what are all our knee-jerk reactions at that time were all about, that is just a line in the sand too far. You know, go
Let's
get
go
them.
get him.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we all felt it.
I did too, and that's not typically the way I feel.
No, it isn't, and it's certainly not the tenet with which you were brought up as a Quaker. But we all did. We all quickly went to, that is, okay, now, poof, you want it, have it, and
Right.
we all got a bit, yeah. And this was definitely, I feel like a very good sort of, redressing of the balance of how we might be feeling.
Yeah,
Uh,
couched in a time-honored film and TV theme, which is pirates.
Pirates, yeah, no kidding.
No.
Um, so we there's one thing that was pointed out to me, and I forget who it was in that opening scene on The Fortunate with Ryan and the captain playing ball across the cargo pit. Apparently, the ball's spinning the wrong way.
I was looking very closely, and it's not.
Oh, it's not.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take your word for it
I
because I'm
forget who we
curious
were
to find
talking
out.
to, but they said that they didn't alter. Maybe I thought it might have been
I
our
thought it was
DP.
spinning clockwise. It's not, huh? It is spinning anti-clockwise.
Yeah, it's going that way.
Right?
And for a right-hander, that's what it does. Because I looked at it very keenly because I forget who said this to us.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
had said that they didn't. They had the one CGI, I guess, and then they didn't alter it for the rotation going the other direction.
Right.
But it
Right.
was I looked at it closely. I was like, this is that episode.
Right.
But it looked correct.
All right. Good. All right. Well, then,
Neither one of them could throw a football to save their lives, though.
is that right? You can tell
No.
that.
You can always tell.
You can always tell, can
You
you?
can always tell if somebody played football or baseball
Right.
or basketball.
Right. Right. I have to say, and because I play neither. Whenever I pick up a basketball in the gym, wherever I go to, and there happens to be a basketball, or I got a friend of mine who's got kids with a basketball thing outside. It's not easy.
No,
The throwing action, I can do the bouncing. I love the bouncing. I can get it through the legs and everything. But when it comes to the pitch of it,
yeah,
it's not easy.
takes
Yeah.
time.
It really isn't. I mean, it's a special skill to hold that steady and get the height.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
Anyway,
just like golf, it's the same way every time for a standard shot. You
right.
do it the same way every time. Of course, your circumstances change, but like your free set jump shot should always look the same every time.
Always look the same. All right.
And let's take a moment to appreciate the fact that LeBron James eclipsed
Yes.
50,000 points last night.
Yeah.
Only man in the NBA to have ever done that, and probably the only one who will.
Do you think so?
I do.
I don't know what the number underneath him is. What is it? Or was it?
Oh, well, he
Is it-
passed. He passed.
He broke his record. This is him breaking his record, isn't it?
This is a record that no one's ever touched.
No one's ever touched.
Broke
Right.
Kareem's all-time scoring. That was last year or the year before, even. So now he's in uncharted territory.
We've gone off base.
We have.
Um, Bring it. Bring it
Reel
back.
it back in. Reel it back in.
Well, tell me about the cruise before we get into the episode. Tell me a bit about the cruise. Did you miss me?
I did. You were missed. You were talked about. Your ears must have been ringing.
Oh, bless. Well, I was,
It
I
was
thought of you a lot, and it was a quiet week in a way here. Quite nice to have a week off and get some things done around the house. And but yeah,
It was fun. I've done a number of these and they're all similar to an extent. We did a reading of War of the Worlds
ah,
for John Delancey. That was a lot of fun and well received. And my interviews of Roxanne, Robbie, and Chase were the people really like just to sit down interview.
right.
Was there any drama? No.
Did you Roxanne? That rings. It gets in my ear.
Yeah. we'd
we
have to
should have
Zoom
her on the
her.
show.
They moved to Nebraska.
Yes, I do know that. Yeah. So it would be a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Did you ask her? Was she
Yeah.
amenable?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
She was like,
let's
yeah. I mean, really trying to take some time off. She was in Europe for 4 years directing, I forget what, but she'd been quite busy. So, we should reach out. I'll reach out to her
okay.
and see what we can do. What else? Let's see. We had Jerry for the first half, and then Kate for the second half. I don't think that was I think that they've made up. I think
Yes, I
a
believe so, but yeah, yeah.
little odd.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Robbie was there for half because he had to go back and finish the last episode of Resident Alien, which is ending this year.
Right.
Spend a lot of time with Frakes and Denise and Nanan Matthew, and that's sort of our little coterie of tequila drinkers.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Jonathan's always good fun.
yeah. So, but it was nice. It was, it's tiring.
Yeah, no, it's not a free week, that's for sure. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then the extra hours, as it were, certainly, play on top. Did you play Hollywood Squares or anything like that?
No, I was not a part of Hollywood Squares. I mean, I was, you've only got, it's kind of like one thing a day that you have to do, or
Right.
sometimes two, a couple days off. I was loaded in the back end. I did not do the Hollywood Squares or the Gong Show because of those three separate interviews, I think.
Right. Right.
I hosted
How
Terry.
long are those interviews?
They're an hour.
Oh,
They
they
should
are, right.
they should be an hour and a half, but they're an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, now sounds all right on
Yeah.
board ship. And
Very well attended. And yeah, it's a fun week. It's my favorite way to have a convention.
mhm.
Everybody gets to calm down a little bit after a day, and people aren't running around and rushing to get their
Right.
photos autographed, and they're not rushing around to say hi and make sure they see all of the panels because you've got 7 days.
Right. Right. Well, I'm glad you had a good time, and
You,
we'll be
you'll
on
you'll
it
be
next
happy
year.
because the ports of call next year are I think much more interesting.
Oh, what are they?
The Dominican and Puerto Rico, which I've
Oh,
never been to
wonderful.
either one.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
I've got an old friend. She had the ground floor flat in the building that I own, my flat in London. Jane Ransom, she was a nurse back then. She married a French boy and moved to the Dominican Republic and had three kids.
Oh.
So I shall look her up. I haven't seen her in, gosh, they came here for a visit before moving to the Dominican Republic en route, and that was 20 years ago. So there we go.
Do I
Well,
have
let's
this
talk about.
right that the Dominican Republic splits an island with Haiti?
Yes, I know.
Jesus,
Amazing. I
radically
know.
different.
It's extraordinary. I mean,
Very
Haiti is a failed state right now.
You know why?
Well,
Partly because the French cut all of their lumber down
yes, they did.
and ruined their land.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The French, yeah, good colonialists.
Yeah.
British would leave you a forest.
Really? Not really.
We certainly deal with pirates, which brings us promptly back to the Nausicans. So, I mean, what do you feel about this? I mean, how does it rub with you that they capture a Nausicaan pirate and keep him hostage to get the codes to hopefully protect their ship against the next Nausicaan attack? I mean, I have to say
I mean, I think it
personally,
makes-
I
I
didn't
think
feel
it
too
makes
bad
sense.
about it.
What's that?
I didn't feel too bad about it.
Oh, no. I mean, look, it makes good drama. Um, you know, this little cargo ship trying to survive being attacked over and over again by the Nausicaans and have gotten to their wits' end and get one of them, and they're trying to protect themselves, and all of which makes sense to me.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, into the picture comes this NX, Enterprise Starfleet command ship, laying down the law way out in space where these freighters have been, hauling freight years before we went out there on any kind of exploratory mission.
Well, yeah,
He's still queer.
Mayweather grows up on one.
He grows up on a J class,
Yeah.
and and he has personal experience of his friends, family, and being attacked by these people.
I was surprised that they didn't have any better weaponry.
Well, they're not utterly defenseless, are they?
They're
They
not, but they kind of have BB guns against rifles.
against what the Norsicans have got, which is why it's so important that they get the codes from the Norsican
Right.
for upgrading their plating, I guess, to defend themselves against future Norsican attacks.
I was surprised to hear, as often as it was said in the episode, that we're the first one out there, and there are a lot more coming.
As Captain Archer, yes,
Yeah.
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 That was get used to us. Was that was to the Norsicans, I think, wasn't it?
No, it was to both. It was to
It was to both, right?
people on the fortunate end of the Nausicaans that this is get used to this, that we're going to be out there, which is interesting in terms of like a theme, somewhat, that we're meant to kind of be the cops.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, I found that not irksome, but certainly slightly eyebrow raising that we would
Not really
stop-
true.
and not really true, no.
Yeah.
But I guess Captain Archer, his role in the show has always been to stand up for what we would consider to be right and proper, and in this instance, holding someone hostage against their will, as it were, for some sort of bargaining chip is now considered in human evolutionary politics, a no-no.
Yeah.
And it takes out. I mean, that gunfight in the cargo hold is rather well shot, I thought.
But he's got terrible aim.
True. Well, it has to go on a bit. We can't
Yeah.
kill it all in one. God knows if it was left to Malcolm, he'd have been ricocheting off the. I love the fact that those drums, I mean, they are used in so many episodes
Oh my God.
or so many seasons of so many shows of this franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, they are extraordinary.
Anytime there's a cargo hold,
They're the drums.
they're there. The drums are there.
Yeah. What did you think about the decompression part? I mean, I actually rather liked it. It was rather, I'd forgotten the eloquence of, well, we're going to shoot a hole in in the actual cargo bay freight hold and then let you go off into space. Although it was rather well done, and the CGI was great.
It was good.
Yeah, and not cheap, I'm sure, at that time.
Also, I'm pretty sure that's some kind of a Starfleet felony. Pretty sure.
Subsection 3, paragraph 4 in the. Hang on, let me just get the book out.
Right. Yeah. I also thought it was interesting that they were asked to. It makes you wonder how many of these cargo ships and transports that were out there that this one particular one had put a distress call, and therefore us, the only ship out there of our class, turns around and goes to see what's going on. I found that a little interesting, which made me think that, yeah, okay, I guess initially we were sort of thought of as the space police.
Yeah, and there's that lovely scene between Ryan and Travis as they're becoming friends. Once Ryan realizes that Travis is kind of one of him, comes from the same space breed. And yet over that lunch, the disastrous lunch where he accuses him of jumping ship and going to Starfleet and deserting your tribe for frankly, a faster, well, better paid way of life, as it were. And I think Anthony's very good in the episode, by the way.
I agree.
He holds the camera nicely, and he's got a couple of button shots where the camera just, LeVar sets the camera on him, and it's all there. And the hurt, the guilt, maybe the turmoil inside about, well, does he have a leg to stand on, accusing me of that? Maybe didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really know.
Yeah.
I thought that young man was quite good.
He's good, isn't he? I remember him being good. I remember being quite jealous of how good he was.
Yeah, he comes from the Michael Caine school of don't blink. He did. I was watching this. He was like, he
Yeah.
doesn't blink. His forehead was very calm.
Yeah.
He was very internalized, and that's sort of the key beans to working in front of the camera.
Yeah, it is. Lawrence Monson. I didn't look him up. I should have had a look to see if he's gone on to do something else. He had a good face too, and
Yeah.
strong. He was perfectly. I tell you one thing uh, um, who was casting? Uh,
Ron, Ron,
Ron Sermon. He got it right.
yeah.
You know, a lot of the time, and obviously, Rick and Branham would do the choosing, but and or the director that week. But yeah, the people they brought them,
You got the right people in the room.
Taylor Sheridan. But he even said of himself, he said, there comes a time if you haven't got up the call sheet ladder by your fifth, sixth year in the business, the chances are you're probably not gonna.
Right.
They
stick around 11. He was on
yeah,
11.
he was an 11. He was, and that's that. I think we may have told this story once before, but he asked for a raise on Sons of Anarchy, and
Yeah.
they came back to him and said, "You're 11 on the call sheet, and that's all you're ever going to be." So no,
Right.
and that's when he went off and wrote Sicario, and the rest is
Right.
history. Yeah,
Right.
God bless him. But he said it himself. They generally get it right.
Yeah.
In terms of whether you got that job or not. And yeah,
I really, really loved that little scene where the kids are playing hide and seek,
oh yeah,
and T'Pol walks up and opens the screen
yeah.
and sees the little girl, and she's like, shh, and T'Pol closes it, and the kid asks her a question: "Have you seen Nadine?"
Nadia.
Nadia, and
I think
she's
it's
like, "I
Nadia.
don't
Yeah,
know which child is Nadia."
yeah.
And then the kid runs away, and she opens the screen, and the girl goes, "Thanks," and she goes, "I was telling the truth."
It's it's beautifully written.
It really is kind of cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nicely shot too. What they call that, the kitchen, the fridge shot, don't they? When you
Yeah.
look when they open the fridge and you look back out through the fridge. Yeah, and you open the door and there's the kid looking back up at T'Pol. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was a
Jeremy
lot
wants-
in this episode of sort of the prime directive uh, sense in terms of Archer reminding um, Ryan of what our job is out there, and the morals and ethics kind of come to fruition in describing what our role is. And he's like, "I've got one more question to ask you, yada yada yada." If there was, how did the scene go? Ultimately saying, we leave no one behind. This is our job, and cut with the secrets.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's nicely played, that tension in the episode, because the audience knows that there's something queer up, and then they sense that Archer knows something's queer up, and then it's confirmed by T'Pol's, a little
There's a Nausicaan. There's a Nausicaan.
the Nausicaan roulette finder. and I like that tension. And it was because I have to say, ultimately, not a lot happens in this episode,
No, I know. I was
you
wondering
know,
what we're going to talk about.
and it's but it does boil, it does simmer nicely, and it comes to a good conclusion, as it were.
Yeah.
And but yeah, there's I mean there is it's not an action-packed episode. Um but you
And no critique to anyone involved in the making of the episode. I just don't think it was one of our best.
no, perhaps not. You know, it had a theme that was worthy, but you know, hard to sort of elbow, you know, punch out and
Right.
flesh out. Yeah. LeVar, he shoots well though. I like the way he shoots, and you know, everyone gets their moment. And
You can
uh,
always tell. You can always tell when Marvin was engaged
yeah.
as a director of photography, because LeVar, he would come in having done his work, obviously, but he would say, all right, Marvin, what do you think? And Marvin would come in with these ideas of bringing the crane in and moving stuff around. When you got Marvin engaged, you had the camera as a character,
Hmm.
and when he wasn't engaged, the Los Angeles Times was a character in the
Yeah. And
episode.
the pince nez.
Yeah.
Yeah. God bless him. Yeah, I know. Absolutely. Um, uh, what else did I want to say about it? You know, I thought, I mean, as I say, that fight scene was well done. We all looked pretty sharp on our toes, and I liked the reluctance of the second crewmate that I think was played by Darren Golding, who was the other crewmate that clearly had reticence and about this play of action, keeping the Nautican prisoner,
That's
and
quite a
what
good scene between those two.
it is a good scene, and they're good in it together,
Yeah.
and yeah, I liked that. Um, what else? I'm trying to think.
Um, I will say that this is probably the first episode where I was like, I got 4 days off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, it's true. I mean,
I was still on the ship.
yeah. You did. I wonder what you did. I, you know, I was, when I was looking at it, I was like, well, damn, Linda got her episode. Connor got his episode. Jolene's had, you know, she's just in it. You know, Archer got, you know, a girlfriend last week. Where's Malcolm? And he's around, but he's you know, I've yet to you know, yeah, to
Why do you think?
well, just because I became quickly ish became the action man, where I would, you know, and I didn't mind that. I liked it a lot, and as we've talked about it, you know, I got in shape pretty quickly. I was never not in shape, but I got, you know, back in shape, and at that age. I mean, I'm 38, pushing 39 by now.
Hmm.
To be running around, you know, it sounds honestly at this age, give my back teeth to have that 39-year-old body. Um, but
I
yeah,
think
I mean, you know, I've yet to have a storyline. Let's put it that way.
and I think to your credit as an actor, they thought that you were just the armory guy,
Mm.
and they had to deal with the fact that you were as an actor more than that.
Yeah, bless
And
you.
and I
Yeah,
think
maybe, yeah.
and I think that probably they probably had, I don't know, 10 episodes in the bank that they knew that they were going to come out with, and that was their idea. And what
Right.
they had to do
Right.
ultimately was expand on that because of what you brought to the table.
No, bless you. That's sweet. And yeah, and then maybe. I mean, maybe you. I mean, who knows? I could have. Yes, in their overall sort of relative plan. I might just have been the security officer
Yeah.
that would, come to the rescue every when they needed, him and his guns.
Someone to jump over a log.
Yeah, right. Sarah's just done the parkour. Oh, sorry, I'm giving it away now. She's just done the thumbnail sketches and some of the little vignettes for that episode that we did, and one of it is parkour. I have to
That's
say,
good.
yeah, I mean, I looked at it again the other night. I was like, you know what, that was pretty deft. I mean, that was a steep hill, and I
Yeah,
went over two logs
great.
and didn't break my ankle. So,
Exactly.
yeah, God bless. Um, what else?
It was good to see Vaughn again.
Yeah, nice to see Vaughan. And I like the fact that it was fritzing out every now and again because we were so far out in space. Yeah, and
Vaughn's
obviously,
amazing. Like, you hang out with Vaughn and he's kind of like, hey man, what's going on? And he's very sort of low key and like a deadhead
yeah,
somewhat energy about him. And then, I did the reading with him of War of the Worlds, and he gets up there and he's a force.
he's an actor. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he
In
is.
fact, it's funny. We were in the wings waiting to go on, and I mean, my God, you've got Johnny Phillips, you've got Bob Picardo, you've got Casey Biggs, you've got Jonathan Frakes, and all of those guys are telling jokes and yucking it up, and they're the kind of guys who
Yeah,
like yada yada yada, time to go on and do
action.
it. Well, Vaughn is sitting there going like 13 minutes, fellas. 13 minutes. 5 minutes, fellas, 5 minutes.
Maybe we should just separate and regroup personally.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, no,
yeah,
it's funny. Yeah, no, he's an actor's actor, Vaughn, and it's always nice to see him. I would have thought in the first, having seen the first several episodes of this show, that we would have seen more of Vaughn, but we really didn't. I mean, they had him sit back and except for my God, the Mirror Mirror episodes were all
mm,
just
he's
shit.
great in those. He
He's
really
great.
is.
And I am right in this, and then I'm terrible.
Um, what else? Yeah, I liked Anthony's struggle was well done, and that scene he has when he's talking to the Nausicans on the bridge is never an easy scene. You don't quite know where to put your eyes, and you're basically talking in your head.
Right.
And I wondered about that, whether he might have addressed some of those lines directly to the captain and engaged him with his thinking and reasoning. It's a tough one, that, because it was scenes like that we never kind of got direction. You
No.
know, no one ever said to us, well, you could actually, rather than just wandering around in a circle in your holosphere of, talking to the alien, you could actually, address people, sitting next to you on the ship, on the bridge, and bring them into it. But other than that, I thought he did a good job. And
I did too. I remember I have a scene with him in engineering where we start at one place and I have to end my line at one of my stations. I just remember having to do that so many times, and you had to make sure that your timing was right, that you got to, the end mark
yeah,
where you were supposed to,
yeah,
and that takes it sounds simple, but it's actually not. I mean, I remember sometimes counting backwards the steps that
yeah,
I was taking to get
right.
to my start mark.
Like
And
like a
then,
like a hop, skip, and a jump runner.
yeah, yeah.
Taking the
And
hop, skip,
then
and the jump back.
because really, it's really up to you. They tell you that you got to be here at the end, and then you got to go, hang on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got to be here by here. I got
Mm,
to be here by here, and I got to be here at the end.
yeah,
And make it look kind of seamless. You
It's
know,
not easy. I had
no,
one big scene with Jim Conway when he came back to direct an episode, and me and Paul are walking through wreckage, and it was a long corridor of wreckage, stepping over burning, planks and blah blah. And I had a monologue of a speech and thought I nailed it the first take, and went, "Oh, thank God."
we're
And
done.
then
We're
Jim
done.
came up. Jim came up to me and went, "So Dominic, it's great. What I'd love for you is on this. I want you stepping over that one on this. I want you to look over there for that." I'm like, "Oh, I
Yeah,
got 12 lines, mate. Um,
exactly.
you're lucky it all came out the same way, and I got to the end at the end."
Right.
But yeah, it was certainly it's the multi. What's that? When you go to the gym and you do multi. Um, part. Oh, crikey! God, I hate it when my mind leaves me like this at the moment at this age. I really do.
Multiple exercises, multiple body
They call it multi gym or something when you do, you
circuits,
circuit.
circuit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like doing the circuit gym,
Yeah,
and yet and yet you've got a soliloquy and you've got to finish on the pull-up bars.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, in association with what you're saying, I think that I was looking at one of the scenes where Archer's on the bridge. I just had this thought that, I mean, kind of how remarkable of a skill set within the craft of it all, that you get these 9 pages the night before,
Mm,
and you've got to evoke a seamlessness in something that you've done twice.
mm.
And one thing, Scott was incredible at that.
He really was. That was a seasoned actor.
Yeah.
Um, and Yeah, I was listening to Jesse Eisenberg talking about directing A Real Pain just now, the film he wrote, and they got quite a lot of accolade. He apparently there was a big 5-page day on the train with Kieran McCulkin coming to set, and apparently Kieran said to him as he breezily showed up, "Hey, hi, so what are we doing today?" Jesse Eisenberg, he's Woody Allen anxious.
Yeah.
He goes, "Not exactly what a director wants to hear first thing in the morning."
Right.
He said, "Well, we're doing the train scene, and you've got quite a lot to say." And Kieran goes, "Oh yeah, the train scene. I remember that. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot." And he said, he said, "Do you have the sides?" Kieran, by now, Eisenberg's going, "Oh my God." He
I
gives him the
heard,
sides.
yeah.
And apparently, Kieran McCulkin reads them once,
Yeah.
twice, and he's word perfect.
I heard him interviewed, and he was talking about working with Brian Cox on what was that show they did?
Oh, Succession. Yeah.
Session. And he's like, "Look, I've been doing this since I was a child, and for whatever reason, I learn lines immediately." And then so they come up to him during Succession. They were like, "We've got to do this scene." He was like, "Well, it's not on the call sheet. I didn't know that." And they were like, "Yeah, well, we're doing it." And he had a lot to say in that as well. And he was like,
Mm.
"Okay." And then Brian Cox hears all of this, and he's off to the side, and Brian Cox is dutifully and studiously looking at his lines, and making sure he's got it all down. And Kieran comes in and just nails it first off, and Brian Cox is like, and
Yeah.
Kieran's like, "Nah."
Yeah. Our muscle, my muscle got better
Oh
during
yeah.
those years, without a doubt. Uh, and the fact that they wanted us, as we call it, DLP, Dead Letter Perfect, was a part of the multi gym that was actually quite helpful in a way that, okay, you wanted Dead Letter Perfect, I'll show you.
Right.
And Scott, I remember Scott telling me, he said, "Just treat it like an exercise, Dom." and it helped enormously. I have to say, the muscle's a little rustier, a little flabbier than it was all those years ago.
Sure, it takes constant
But I still don't have
minding.
too much trouble putting a scene in my head, especially if it's well enough written. The toughest ones we ever was if I ever auditioned for Charmed, and I did a lot, and never got it.
Right.
These characters would just say random. The one line would never follow reasonably in your head with any motivation why you would say that to that. It was just expositional, and they're moving the plot along, and
Right,
you just had to remember it. And yeah, that was just parrot fashion wrote remembered.
right,
It's easier when it's when you've got some sort of something coursing through your veins that leads you to believe why you would say that
right,
when you can internalize it. Yeah,
right.
but he was amazing at that, and uh, yeah. Again, we wax lyrical about him. He's such a charming, lovely bloke, and
Right.
well, to wrap it up a little bit, the final scene with the captain, played by what's his name, Kieran Mulroney. I quite like that scene at the end, trying to get the captain to have a glass of what's the whiskey, Namibian whiskey or something.
Right, right.
Yeah, and
I'm on duty.
I know he's such a stiff, isn't he, Archer?
Yeah,
He's sit down, have a drink for crying out loud. On
right.
duty, doing
Put your
what?
feet up. Yeah,
um,
it was nice. Yeah, how do I put this? It was a good episode. It feels like it was an episode that, in hindsight, sort of filled our 26.
yeah,
Didn't didn't move the needle forward necessarily.
no,
And as you said, the screenwriter was who?
James Duff, who,
James Duff could have had this script potentially for us, for Voyager, for
yeah,
Nine. You could have slapped any one of those.
casts into it. You could have.
Yeah,
It fitted ours in so
it,
much we were, pioneers out there, and encroaching somewhat on already trodden paths by these freighter crews that didn't we don't want your help, back off. I mean, in that way it was uniquely libertarian American, if you will.
yeah,
I
right,
mean, really, we don't want that. We don't need the government Starfleet out here.
right.
We'll sort this out on our own, in our own terms. And
But as opposed to, like, say, introducing the Andorians, like, we never really saw the Nausicaans again or much.
don't think so. No, no, no.
So, this episode, in the sort of chronology of what we were doing in the very beginning, it just seems a bit sort of outside the line.
Well, it might be that I got this sense that it was truly inspired by events that had happened 20 days before. Yeah,
Yeah,
literally, and they would have been writing. Well, what's the episode we write that deals with this emotion, revenge,
right,
uh, right away, without, because we obviously season 3 became our homage to 9/11, and in the big picture.
right.
But immediately speaking, this, I think, was the episode I would suggest that they, what are we going to say about this? And
Yeah, yeah, I would
yeah,
agree. I
yeah.
would-
Which in that which in that respect, if it was written that quickly for those purposes, as an immediate reaction, not bad at all. And
No,
yeah,
no, not bad in any right. And to your point, not bad in regard to what we had just experienced. Um, it may be. It may be the first time where, the shift occurs, where, 9/11 had such an impact on our show that you can't not think of our show without 9/11 in the way that we wound up telling our stories. And this
mm,
possibly could be one of the first ones that sort of shifts into that mode.
mm, yeah, without a doubt.
And we have some powerhouse guests coming up in the near future. thank you to Dominic right here for procuring them.
I have
Very exciting.
I've been chasing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, God bless. Yeah, some real biggies. So
Yeah.
I hope everyone's going to get very excited about that when we start to let that out. And yeah, one in particular is, well, they're both brilliant. I mean,
Yeah.
and they're both connected to the show in their various ways.
Right.
It's as much as we can say.
That's exactly right.
But you're going to really enjoy, and I hope we really enjoy their company. They're both very, very fun fellas.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's as much as you know. They're both blokes.
That's right.
All right. Well, listen.
All right,
Thanks so much for watching, and we really value your support. And as you know, we need it. So please, if you can find it in your heart and pocketbook to support us on Patreon, we really need that help.
Every penny counts.
It does. So until then, nanu nanu.
See y'all.